Hi, welcome to Paper Towel Napkin. Today we're going to do a little bit more complex dish, and you've seen this on Pinterest and obviously on the Food Network, but basically it's like a beef wrap and they turn into pinwheels. Now, when I first started doing this, I would cut them, fill them, cut them, and then sear each one individually, but they fall apart too easy. So what I'm going to do is prepare them, sear the meat, put it in a baking dish, and then cut it after it's all done. So what we started here with is a very thin cut of beef. Let me move these for a second. Very thin cut of beef. You can get flank steak, which is what the recipe calls for. You can try this. We just found thin cut beef at Walmart, believe it or not. So you're going to take those, or they're salt and peppered, and they have come to room temperature because it helps them sear a little bit better. We'll just start with a few at this time. Okay. Then we're going to add a mixture of mushrooms, onions, garlic, salt, and pepper. Okay, and I did put this in the food processor. I'm sorry, I did put this in the food processor, and frankly, it didn't come out the way I normally do it. I usually just fine chop it. So note to self, it may not come out. You want it to be small, kind of like gluey almost, but the food processor left big chunks, and so I'm not going to use it, obviously. But anyway, so that's basically it. So you're going to take a little bit of that, and yeah, it's messy because I do it with my hands. So you're going to start with your mixture first. Put it on the beef. A little bit more. And then some provolone cheese, 2 slices per, and then a little bit of spinach. And then, I guess I should have turned these the other way. And then you're going to roll these up. This is not easy, this takes a lot of practice. Just go slow, kind of stuff the stuff in there as you're going. Now there, right? See how that came out? Pretty easy. Flank steak is a little bit wider, so you would probably use more stuff. And then I just have some cooking string here. I'm gonna tie this around. And this is the way it's going to go in the sear pan and then into the oven, okay? Not too hard. I'm going to sear it with the meat side down. You can see there's a lot of cheese on this side. This meat is kind of extra thin, but I'm going to work with it. It's good. And once you get them in the oven, it doesn't take very long at all. So let's go on with some more of these. Okay, so you put your glue stuff down. I'm going to stack these up and turn them this way. It's easier. Okay, and then your provolone cheese, 2 slices. A little bit of spinach. Roll it up. Just stuff as you go. There you go. You can squish it a little bit, that's okay. Helps hold it together. And then your string. It's kind of like wrapping a present, but harder, right? Okay. Well, the reason why we're cooking it inside today is because it's been raining pretty much all day, and we have meat to grill, but this is pretty easy. Now, you don't have to sear it before you do this. In fact, I'm thinking as I'm doing this right now that I may not want to. And yes, you will have scraps left over. Just throw them in the baking dish when you're done. It's just because it's hot outside, I don't think I want to sear them. I'm lazy today. One of those days. Spinach. The rolling part, it really does just take practice. The first couple of ones always come out bad, so just go with the flow. Don't beat yourself up like I do. Keep going like that. There you go. I always cut my strings ahead of time. I have tried this with toothpicks. It's virtually annoying and impossible. There we go. There's 3 down. Seriously, I have like 8 more over here, but I'll show you these and then we'll get them. Now, see, this one's a little bit wider, so I'm going to actually do a little bit more glue stuff in there. Make sure you always dry your meat out with a paper towel, then put your salt and pepper on it, and let it sit out for room temperature because it does sear better that way. So this one might actually need 3 pieces of cheese. Just store-bought regular packaged Parmesan cheese, regular spinach. You can also saute the onions and mushrooms ahead of time if you want. If you're doing thicker cuts of meat, that might be a better idea because it's going to take longer for the beef to cook. See that one? Maybe not 3 pieces of provolone. Every time I cook, it's a learning experience for me, so I hope it's a good learning experience for you. You shouldn't feel like you need to be perfection because honestly, these will come out amazing. And you got your veggies, your protein, everything in there. I'll show you one more, just so you get the hang of it like I do. Now, flank steak, if it's on the thick side, I would suggest that you pound it a little bit. And you can do that with the back of a wooden spoon in a bag. I do it in a bag so the beef splatter doesn't go everywhere. So put it in a plastic bag. Then pound it down a little bit so it's nice and thin. Plus it tenderizes it. Okay, so this is my last one. I mean, searing is really awesome, but honestly it's muggy. And I would rather just throw these in the oven. They'll come out nice and brown and juicy. So my oven is at 375 degrees. And I'm probably gonna cook these, probably gonna cook these for 25 to 30 minutes. Now this beef is so small that I don't even know if I'm gonna cut it at this point because the slices are so thin. I'll just cut the meat off or cut the string off of it. See, all this stuff I'm going to put right back in my bowl so I can use every little bit of it. Okay, so next step is to get them into a baking dish. Okay, here's my clear baking dish. I have sprayed it with foil spray. I'm just going to stick these little guys in there. Like I said, I have a bunch more. See how nice they fit in the pan there? And I probably have 5 here. I probably have 4 or 5 more. You could put cheese on top if you wanted to as well. Everything that's in there cooks pretty fast. Like the spinach and the cheese melts really fast. All you're looking for is to get a nice brown on the meat. So you could turn it if you wanted to in the middle of the process, not necessary. I think it'll crisp up pretty good because it's pretty thin. And I would just look to make sure that it's not, well, I don't really like rare meat, so I would probably cook it a little bit longer than maybe my husband would like. But all you have to do is stick it in the oven for about, like I said, maybe 20, 25 minutes and check on it about 10, 15 minutes into it. And then when you bring it out of the oven, just let it sit for about 10 minutes until all the juices and the flavor get blended together and they taste really good. So I'm gonna move on with the rest of mine and get them all set up. Okay, I just took these out of the oven and they're looking really good, very juicy. See, some of the cheese got crusted up there. 375, probably I ended up with maybe 25 to 28 minutes, but you know, you need to check it as you go. And we're gonna let these rest so that the flavors all kind of combine together and you can really enjoy all the different flavors as you let them set. You should always let your meat rest for at least well, I know they say like 10 to 15 minutes, but probably I would say at least 5 minutes to rest on this one. And because these are on the small side, I'm just going to serve them individually instead of cutting them into pinwheels, because it's just not the right kind of meat to do that. Maybe some other time I'll show you how to do it. But there you have it, and I hope you enjoy our little beef episode. And look at that sprinkled beef on top, man, that looks really good. And you just cut the strings and eat it. It's pretty fine. Hope you enjoy it. Have a great weekend, everybody.